The overnight camp at Trilby Station was very pleasant, but now it's time to keep heading south. Menindee is my destination today, which is about 340 kilometres down the Darling River. On the way I'll stop at Tilpa and top up with fuel. It's still fairly early in the morning and there's lots of wildlife about. Why is it that the other side of the road is always the safest? This type of scenery might seem boring to some, but I love it. Wide open spaces, no one else on the road. Just perfect. I'm standing up here just to stretch my legs, not because I need to. Conventional wisdom says you must stand up if you're riding on dirt roads if you're a real adventure rider, but I don't find that that's at all necessary. Anyway, here's a rare sight: sheep on a sheep station. Each of the sheep stations have a rating of sheep per hectare that should be run. Out here, that's somewhere between 1 sheep per 8 hectares to 1 sheep per 12 hectares. I think it's time to sit back, relax and soak up the serenity. I'm finding that travelling between 80 and 90 kilometres an hour is the most comfortable and relaxing. At the moment the countryside's looking really good, nice and green. When I was here last, back in 2002, there wasn't a blade of even dry grass available. It's certainly tough being a farmer. I encountered very little traffic on the road, but here's a caravan of caravans. It was easier to stop and let them pass. And there's a strange phenomenon out here. If you're on a gravel road, everyone waves to each other. As soon as you hit the bitumen, we're just miserable bastards again. No waving. Of course, this doesn't apply to motorcyclists. Even on a bitumen road, if you're out in the outback, you always get a wave. Arrived at Tilpa. Gonna have a little break here, and there's a classic pub that we'll have a bit of a look in as well. I found that I had phone service here, quite surprising. So I was able to catch up on a few text messages. If you're going to do an outback trip, always carry water with you. And carry it on you so that you can be drinking all the time. It's really easy to dehydrate out here, even in cool weather. In this dry climate, if you feel yourself being thirsty, you're already starting to dehydrate. You can't read the LED sign in the picture, but it says that all the roads are open, but with warnings to be careful. On the road again, and there's about 100 kilometres of this light grey stuff. It looks really smooth, but it was nasty because every now and then there would be a bull dust hole that it was impossible to see, and the bike would shake itself like a wet dog. So no relaxing on this section of the road. I much preferred the red sandy stuff, which seemed to have a lot less bull dust. But you can see how the road just swaps from one to the other. I've arrived at Wilcannia. I'll have another little break here. There's a number of classic looking buildings here, but unfortunately there are also lots and lots of closed down retail. Back on the road again, still heading south and heading towards Menindee on the last leg of the journey for the day. And more straight, wide open road. It seems to me that this is the sort of riding that the African Twin adventure sport is built for. Its weight is irrelevant on this sort of road. It handles it beautifully, and the electronic suspension really soaks up those corrugations. It tracks well through the straight stuff, and there's no need to stand up to control the bike. I've just stopped for a break between Wilcannia and Menindee, and there's a few flies around, and just walked down into this dry creek bed. Lovely red sand, the green of the gum trees. Looks really nice. And this is what happens to the mud when it dries out. Top layer gets all crispy and then curls up. Very cute. This is the western side coming down the Darling,
And I have to admit that it's been quite tiring. There's been lots of grey bull dust holes, just little ones, but you can't pick them till you hit them, and it shakes the bike all over the place. Not a lot of fun, I don't reckon.
Yet another example of the other side of the road being safer. The kangaroo and the emu are the two national symbols on our coat of arms, both as dumb as each other as far as road sense is concerned. It was only a couple of weeks ago that these roads were closed, and you can still see the evidence of how nasty it was when it was wet. The bit of rain has been welcome, and there's even a little green carpet along the edge of the road.
Well, this is where the dirt ends and the bitumen starts for the last 18 kilometres to Menindee. So we've travelled 266 kilometres from Tilpa down to here, averaged 4.4 litres per 100, averaged 79 kilometres an hour, and used 11.6 litres. And the bike has just been purring along, and I've had it in gravel mode, which gives me the soft setting for the electronic suspension, and that's been really good on the rough corrugations.
The Conjega National Park covers the Menindee Lake system, and there are a number of roads that you can ride through to get into the park, including the River Road, but I think that's still closed, and that really is the only road worth riding, so I'm going to give that a miss. There are a number of bodies of water that make up the Menindee Lakes, and all of it is designated National Park. So standing on the border of the park, this is as close as I can get with the drone. I've arrived at Menindee. There's been no chance to buy another sleeping mat, and I'm not going to sleep on the hard ground, so I'm going to pub it from now on. And so it'll be the Menindee pub for me tonight. This is quite an old pub. It's been tarted up a bit, but it's maintained all of its old world charm. It's nice and clean and neat. But fortunately, it hasn't been rebuilt to a 4-star standard.
Well, still no mattress and no chance of getting one today. It's Sunday, and there's probably no chance of getting one tomorrow anyway, but I'm at the pub, and this is my room.